Hello everyone, we're going to be discussing right now why Flaps decided to Flaps adopted his power pose. It's game on.
Blue steel.
Speaking of people adopting power pose and being better at getting... No, it didn't work. Who's the most improved player in the Premier League? We've got a list. There was an article done this week on...
by 442.
Yes.
Very good.
Because we're very good at coming up with original content.
We
thought
extending the content,
helping,
right?
Helping,
yeah,
supporting.
Exactly. Supporting, yeah.
All one big football
it's
family.
one big football sphere, isn't it? Everyone talks about everything. Yeah, so we talked through some of the players that we think are the most improved this season. Sam, you gonna throw a United player into the mix?
Of course I will. That's what you brought me here for, right?
Well,
all the fans who love me.
just kind of need
That and the
one
ginger
extra.
Stone Cold Steve Austin look
Right.
like thing.
That's probably the best comparison. Everyone keeps calling me David Brent upstairs, which I think is a bit unfair.
Why have you said this on the internet?
No, I've said it. It's going to happen in the comments anyway. Now it definitely is. But anyway, let's talk about Man United because everybody on this channel loves Man United and me.
Yeah.
So let's combine the two.
Just setting them up. We love you, Sam. We love you.
That's like Eminem when he gives you all the
Yeah,
curses.
right, yeah,
In fact, actually, I
now
want to
tell
know
me something.
who do people like more, Liam or Sam?
Oh God, that's just
Just write
that's sending
Liam
somewhere
or
else.
Sam in the
Yeah.
comments below.
Right, anyway, and Herrera, footballer.
Football.
I'm going to go for him as the most improved at United because he absolutely is. Last year everyone was buzzing when we actually signed him, but Van Gaal kind of used him sporadically. We'd come in for a game, play well, and for some reason we'd just go back to the bench. Mourinho, and he played in the under-21s with Spain, the same team as De Gea. Mata was in there. They won the Euros, but from that point on, his national career with Spain never kicked on. Now he's back. He's joined the Spanish. So he's already made his debut this year. And at United, he's playing more of a defensive midfield role. Previously, he was in the sort of like Koke Iniesta sort of position, a little bit more advanced. Too much competition there. But at United this year, I don't think there's any player in the Premier League who's won the ball more times in the opposition's half. That's the type of player he is. It's actually
the Spanish Joe Allen.
Anyway, enough for Joe Allen. Let's get Joe Allen in there.
Yeah. How have you got Joe Allen?
It's actually on that list.
He is on there, yeah,
I
it's
know,
true.
yeah, sorry. But United played really well when we press teams and we win the ball early and high up the pitch because then defences aren't set up and then there's space that we can actually use. When we play against teams like Hull and Bournemouth and they sit deep, we find it very hard.
So is he the one sort of applying that pressure, or is he the one sweeping?
Yeah,
and
if you imagine a midfield three, you've got Carrick sitting a little bit deeper and then you've got Fellaini and Pogba. Sorry, not Fellaini and Pogba. Jesus. Herrera and Pogba. Herrera is the one harassing and winning the ball back and then feeding Pogba. And that's basically what he's done. He does it very well and he's got a real snide side to his game that I love. You can only love him if he's in your team and your player. Otherwise, you think he's a dick.
Has his ability is pure... Yeah.
I suppose so articulate.
Interesting you should say that. Yeah, no, you're right. It's just, I guess it's his pure ability that's put him into the team because it looked by all accounts like from the outside that Mourinho wasn't interested in him at the start of the season.
He was there right from the very start in the pre-season. He was kind of like a central part of it, and he's been there ever since. Really, we've dropped in and out with Fellaini, with Carrick, with Pogba, moving the midfield positions around. But Herrera has been quite a constant, and when he has been out, you really notice that there's no midfielder who can offer what he does in that same role. And for me, massively improved player at United this season.
Okay, James.
Just because this article is great, and I'll reel off a couple of other United kind of guys who've actually left and come back. And Michael Keane for Burnley is one of them. Obviously, they've come up this year, and he's done brilliantly. Got that England call up. Was one of the best defenders in the Championship by quite a way, and he stepped up to the Premier League and is doing very well there. Another one I think this is a good shout is Josh King. I saw him playing for Blackburn Rovers 2 seasons ago, and he was crap. He was rubbish. Bournemouth got him for 1.5 million. He scored 13 goals this year. He's scored some brilliant goals as well.
Yeah, he has.
A good cheap pick on your fantasy football team if you need him.
Yeah.
And he's done really well. And so there's 2 ex-United guys who've done well there. One that I think people kind of possibly disagree with, but he has had a great season, is Theo Walcott for Arsenal.
I was shocked how good a season he's had. Because I just presume, you see it, Theo Walcott, well, he's either injured or he's shite, isn't he? And that's just, it's sort of both, yeah. I saw his goal returns like 19
all competitions, yeah. 10 goals and 23 appearances in the league. Better goals per minute ratio than Vardy and Defoe. I mean, that's a bit of a dodgy stat, really, isn't it? Because both of those guys haven't had that great a season in terms of their clubs doing well in the league. But for someone who's been chastised for a lot of his career, 10 years at Arsenal, and in a season where Arsenal been frustrated, and in a year where someone like Sanchez has taken all the headlines for his performances, he has contributed a huge amount, and not through the centre, but from wide right, which I think most people probably think that's where you should be getting the best out of him because he's got the pace. But he seems to be a bit smarter this year.
Well, I mean, Walcott for like a couple of years has always been like, I want to be the main striker. I can be that goal scorer, and this is like the first year where he's actually delivered on that. Well, so you've got to give him credit for that.
And wasn't in the last England squad, and
of all the times not to put Walcott in the England squad.
Yeah, he's been getting carried in there since he was a small child, and now he's actually stepping up and being a decent footballer.
As a small adult.
I think is he now? Is that 2 goals off his best goal scoring season?
With 21, and he played through the middle of that season. So he deserves some credit there.
Would anyone actively have Theo Walcott in the team? No.
Many reasons, but
he's got a goal.
It's the goal return that's the shot. Because like I say, he scored more goals than Mane, he scored more goals than Firmino, Coutinho, and yet I'd still be like.
Scored in some big games as well. Scored against Bayern Munich, scored against Man City.
I wouldn't have him as Tottenham because obviously he's loathed at Spurs. But the fact is that all of the performances, every decent performance at Arsenal is going to be overshadowed by what's been gone off the pitch, and he hasn't benefited massively from that. He was quite shocked when he didn't get the England call. I think he went on record saying, I'm probably one of England's top goal scorers.
Yeah.
And but
stats do back that up, to be fair.
Yeah.
So
But I think the thing is for me is I wonder whether it's a bit late. And bear me on this because he's still young enough, isn't he? He's still got a few more years in him. But when you consider he's been playing top level professional football for 12 years at this point, how many more years do you get realistically at the highest level? I mean, it's not like he's showing those signs, but you see a lot of players tend to get 10 years, don't they? And then
it'd be interesting to see what his longevity is like for someone who did start so early and has had injuries and is based around his pace.
Well, fair play to him. You can't fault the return this season. Go on, Flav, what you got?
I mean, the only one I can think of and talk about with a real authority would be Son. We signed him from Leverkusen about for 18 months ago, a bit more, maybe 2 years. £22 million. A lot thought of him. No one actually heard of him before he arrived, and he was pretty average in the first season. We didn't understand what we got. There was talk about him leaving the club in the summer. No one.
He was so close to going, wasn't he?
Yeah,
in August?
He was pretty close. Yeah, you wouldn't find many Spurs fans that would look at him and thought, we'll be that upset. It was a mistake. We spent too much money, and this season he's really turned it on. I think one of the most amazing things for me about his season this year is his technique is incredible. He's hitting the target with pace and power. It's as good as Kane does it.
Was he playing more centrally that first season? Because was he the sort of substitute for Kane?
No, not really. He can play up front, but he's much better off the wing. And he's got 19 goals this season. I think a huge return, 10 in the league. So and he hasn't played a great deal of football. He's not first choice, and despite that, he's had a massive impact, and he's going to be one of probably 3 players at Spurs that will get 20 goals this season.
Is that not changing? Is he still not first choice at Spurs?
I think no. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've had so many injuries, so he has gone into it. So I wouldn't say if everyone was fit that he would start, but he should because he deserves to. And for me, based on all the football I've seen Spurs play, he has been our most improved player.
Okay, interesting. So 4-4 Arsenal actually puts Roberto Firmino forward for Liverpool.
Yeah,
and I think there's it's interesting. I think you could make that case. My thing is, I think he falls into the category kind of like Herrera, if I'm honest, because although Herrera was in and out last season, this isn't Herrera's first good season for Man United. Is it? He's been a good player. I think he's shown how good a player he can be.
Been just not as consistent as it has been this year.
And as I think for in Firmino's case, particularly when Klopp come in, I think it's telling that the biggest wins, the biggest performances last season were Roberto Firmino in this false 9. Man City away being a really big one in that. It's not a surprise to me, Firmino stepping up, and I don't actually think he's been incredible this year. He's got all those stats. There's loads of graphics going around. Look at his stats. Look, he's the top in this, and this, and you're like, but where's the stat about his goal scoring? Because it's not there. Because he doesn't score very many goals. So I wouldn't put him in there. The one I would put in, if I had to put a Liverpool player forward, and I don't have to, but I will, is Simon Mignolet. Now, there's a guy who literally single-handedly clawed 3 points out of the game at the weekend against Stoke.
So it was, single-testically, wasn't it?
Single-testically.
Like, just took it.
Yeah, just took one in the seeds for the team. Like, and
Did he stand up or did he go down for a while?
Just got up and got on with it, mate. Because
didn't hit him in the bollocks.
He has no bollocks.
It just looked like it. Unless he's
Is it
smooth down there.
Yeah, Simone's
Smooth. Is he smooth down there?
yes. Probably.
Tune in next week on Social Club for...
Vote now, we'll give you the results.
Here's the thing about Liverpool's goalkeeping situation. We haven't had a good goalkeeper since Pepe Reina was good. So a couple of seasons where he kind of started to tail off, and then we bought Mignolet in 13-14. He was good. He was fine. Liverpool, we weren't great at the back. It's the age-old story. And he never really kicked on. He was dominant of his area. His distribution was horrendous. And the thing that everyone was going, well, he's really good at making saves. That evaporated. So his saves to shots on target ratio was one of the worst in the league at one point. And he was getting bombed out for Brad Jones. And when Brad Jones is coming in,
he's probably one of the worst goalkeepers I've ever seen.
Horrendous.
I love
that. Is he still there? No, he's playing for. Did you have in the Europa League final?
He played him in the Europa League.
Why would I know what fucking team Brad Jones was playing for?
He played against your team.
Great. Brad Jones is playing.
But yeah, what?
But Brad Jones still third choice goalkeeper somewhere else.
No, he's first choice goalkeeper in Holland at the moment. I think it's fine.
Good on him. Grand football.
But anyway, he was terrible, and Mignolet was terrible, and everyone was like, right, he's going, and we bought Karius in the summer, and then by luck or fate or whatever, he breaks his hand. Mignolet starts the season, started really well, and then gets bombed out because Karius is clearly bought to be first choice, and then he has doesn't impress at all. Mignolet comes back in, and he's been, I hate to say it at times because I've been very vocal in my criticism of him. He's been great. If we'd signed Mignolet in the summer, everyone would be looking at him and going, "What a top quality goalkeeper Liverpool brought." He doesn't make many mistakes. Makes as many mistakes as any of the top goalkeepers. He's much faster off his line. His distribution is vastly improved. His all-round bravery, the way he commands the defence has gotten better. And and he's all of a sudden he's pulling saves and he's winning Liverpool points. And that's a difference between people going about having to have a 25-goal a season centre forward to drag you through. Well, listen, if you've got a shit goalkeeper at the back, it's almost the same kind of difference. And top goalkeepers win you points. Look what David De Gea's been doing for Man United now for 3 seasons. Yeah. So for me, and he'll probably go back to being absolutely garbage now in the last few games and make an absolute twat of me. But
fingers crossed.
One last thing, I think we have to talk about Victor Moses. He's kind of got like. He was Liverpool, wasn't he?
I've got my face over the Victor Moses stuff.
But
I think everybody does, really.
He was terrible for us. Terrible.
Has he improved, or is he just? He's in a position and in a system that allows him that brings out the best of his strengths and hides enough for him, because he's as a out and out sort of right winger or right forward. He probably hasn't got the creativity to do it, but he's got such stamina. Yeah. He's been brilliant.
It's the same thing. Flav's saying how important Pochettino's system is for Ali. Exact same situation with him.
It's so important for players. It doesn't matter how good you are, barring a couple of really mercurial players who their class will always show. It's so important to have the right club, the right support network around you, the right people around you at the time. Your health needs to be in the right place. And crucially, you need a manager who understands and believes in you. And it's not a case of he didn't get that at Liverpool. It just, all those things weren't in place for him. Otherwise, he would be able to
beautifully for him. That's really worked out.
It's a lot of luck, but also Conte, as you've seen, every player at Chelsea have benefited from Conte in the same way they have a Pochettino. Moses has been the most shocking because no one expected him to survive it. You didn't expect him to be in that team. And there you have it. And it is an amazing, in terms of footballing sense, incredible, really.
He's the perfect example, because what you're saying is spot on, James, is about he's not good enough to play right wing in that Chelsea team. He's just not. Eden Hazard, Pedro, top level footballers, and we've seen that that's been an evolution of Premier League football in the last, let's say, 5 years, but you could probably track it back a bit longer. That now the players who are not quite good enough to be in the attacking positions, they're just falling deeper and deeper in the pitch. This is why you've got Ashley Young and Antonio Valencia playing fullbacks for Man United at times, and because neither of those guys is anywhere near good enough to play in the top 6, consistently on a weekend. But he's got pace, he's got a terrific engine, he's got good feet. And he's probably got a point to prove as well. And again, Conte's just saying to him, here's your job, mate. Your job is just to run up and down here all day. And he's going, yeah, go on, I'll do that. Consistent football, you know, probably win a few medals, mate. Yeah, whatever you want all day long. So it's probably a perfect storm of attitude, time,
that's all it was. Right. What, Victor? Now listen to me.
Yeah, has he built a team around Victor Moses?
Yeah. But no, but actually quite
get up and down it.
But quite the opposite, in fact, because I think he's just a cog, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's Milner's kind of that for us to some extent. You've got a position, you've got a set of attributes that you determine you need for that position, and you've got those attributes, mate. Don't be surprised if they go and get someone else to play that before too long. But
they might not have the same work ethic. On the other side, you've got Alonso, who played for Sunderland, Bolton and Fiorentina, and he's banging in free kicks and playing brilliantly as well. So you're right. But for him to go from, was it West Ham and barely getting in the team, or Stoke and barely getting in the team, to winning the league and starting most games.
We played in the 13-14 season. We played Hull away, and we had Sterling on one wing and Moses on the other. And Sterling and Moses were both absolutely stunk the place out. Liverpool were terrible; they were horrendous. And Moses never really never really got the opportunity again at Liverpool. He was back on the bench. Sterling then re-upped his game and then became really, really good for us. Got his big move and what have you. No one would have looked at Victor Moses around that time, and you say in the subsequent years and gone, this lad's going to make it at Chelsea. Not look at all the players that Chelsea have got rid of. Yeah. And they've been loaning them out to increasingly lower down teams, and then
we're also talking about a player who, while at Wigan, was being touted and linked to some of the biggest clubs in Europe. He had a huge amount of hype around him, Moses, as a forward.
Was it Palace? He came from
started at Palace. Yeah, he came through the youth system
at
Wigan. Yeah, and then you know, the fact that he's played at Liverpool, Chelsea, you know, both top clubs in Europe. It shouldn't be a surprise because his talent were there. It was just Conte's managed to fashion him into this player. He basically looked at him and so, yeah, he can do a job. He can do exactly what I needed to do on that right-hand side.
Yeah.
So, you know, it should be...
It highlights the importance of work rate and industry as well in a team, as much as having someone like Hazard who's got the rest.
He's played any footy, hasn't he? So he's not like he's burned himself out in that time.
It's the principle of most successful teams in modern football.
Well, the exact same thing's happened to Antonio Valencia, right back for United. Mourinho's made him. He's always played right ever since he got injured a few years ago. He's kind of just got further and deeper, and he's just it's ridiculous. His energy is ridiculous, and if you can have a team that has just tanks of energy, it just makes them a harder team to play against. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. To be honest, I think the Moses one wins.
Yeah,
if I'm perfectly honest. But if you care to disagree, by all means do. That's what the comments below is for. We've got another couple of videos coming up on the Monday, more coming up on Tuesday, which is Ask the Club. And on Friday, we're going to be wrapping up our greatest Premier League 11 of all time as well, looking through the team and see if we've got use our powers of veto.
3 Spurs players in it.
Stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch another Social Club
click
video
here to find out which ones.
If you want to watch the Social Club video this week, you can do. Click this one. We're talking about whether not just can Leicester win the Champions League, but do we really want them to?